I just fused myself with work. And so I
Yeah.
felt like this one entity. And so if a day was good at work or if somebody said something good, it was like my day was the greatest. And then
Yeah.
if it was a bad day at work, or it might have just been a hurdle, when I come back and it was like, oh, this is the worst day ever. I started seeing this version of myself in glimpses, which I started loving. And my environment also started changing when I would pull out this version of myself.
From SGI USA, I'm Cassidy Bradford, and this is Buddhability, the weekly series where I talk with Buddhists from all walks of life about the power we each have to change our lives and the world around us. Hi, Cassidy from Buddhability here. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe. It'll help the show out, and you'll never miss an episode. If you want more Buddhability content, you can subscribe to our email newsletter in the link below. We put out great content every week. Enjoy the show. Welcome to Buddhability, Sandeep. Thank you so much for joining. I'm very excited to hear more of your story today. So before I spoil anything, I'm just going to have you introduce yourself so you can share, a little bit just about who you are.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Cassidy. My name is Sandeep. A little bit about myself. I grew up in Chennai, back in India, and then I grew a little bit up in London, and then moved back for middle school and high school. And then I came here for my undergrad to Seattle, and then ever since then I've been in Seattle. And then
Very different climate.
very different. Yeah. I think Seattle and London are very similar.
Yeah.
And then Chennai is just very different.
Different beast. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. So today we're really going to be talking about like the courage to just be yourself, which I understand was hard for you for a lot of your life. So to just kind of like get things started, provide people a little bit of context, what did struggling with being yourself look like in your childhood through maybe like junior and high school?
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I don't know where it all started, but I do know very clearly how I felt. But for the longest time, I was like super lonely. I felt really lonely, or I felt really like that something was missing. But it's a weird kind of loneliness, because it's not a kind of loneliness where it's like I didn't have friends or I didn't have, A, B, or C, but it was just this internal kind of loneliness that was missing. I felt worthless and I felt lonely, and sometimes when I would feel good about myself, then I don't know, I feel like arrogance would step in, and then until a point came where again I went back to loneliness. And this was like a cyclic loop that happened. I remember going through this vividly in London, but when I came back, those memories, I could clearly see that I was in that phase, but I didn't know I was there. I was just running away, and I knew I was running away, but it felt good to run away, or I felt comfortable doing it, so I just kept doing it.
When you say loneliness that wasn't like you had people around you, but you still felt lonely, was that like feeling like unable to like connect with people, or being like seen for who you are?
Yeah, I think when I was hanging out with friends, it felt amazing, because I was like with them and we would do all these things. Especially high school, I was so fortunate to have a really great set of friend group. But it was like when I'm with them, I could distract myself from myself and be with them. So it felt amazing. But I think the loneliness was when I had to go back to just being with myself. And then, the negative thoughts that came, or the fear I had of feeling worthless. And then if you're alone, all these negative thoughts, and you just want to distract yourself with the next thing and the next thing. And so, in a way, I got really fortunate because the friends I had kind of protected me to get me to where I'm at right now. But it was like, every time I was alone. And so my mind would always keep trying to find the next thing to get distracted in.
Yeah, I imagine it being kind of disorienting in a way, like, okay, well, I feel good when I'm with people, but then when I'm by myself, it's like this feeling comes back. And I think like a lot of people in a variety of ways have felt this, like, oh, when I'm doing this thing, I feel really good. But then when I'm without it, that's when like it sort of crumbles, when our happiness or a sense of self is kind of like dependent on these other things, maybe like giving us worth or distracting us. So I think many people have that experience. And when you're young, I think it's even more disorienting because you're just also like, who am I? Like trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And so at what point were you introduced to Buddhism, and how did you take it when you first like heard about it?
Yeah, I was introduced back in high school. One of my mom's friends was introducing her into the practice. And so through that, I was also getting introduced to a couple of like Buddhist friends back in Chennai. And so I didn't take it very seriously, being in the high school age, but but I really liked philosophy, so I would just take the small things that made me feel good, or just give that kind of warmth. And so I was like given books, or I was given quotes, and sometimes I would just chant with them, but it was just those small things that I just kept doing. And back then I kind of used it as a form of distraction as well, of just, okay, now I can focus on this, and then it's like, okay, then the next thing and the next thing. But yeah, I remember that's how I got introduced in high school. But I think the practice kind of became a self-practice when I moved here, because moving into a new country and everything.
Yeah, that's when reality hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, tell me about that. I know that you really had kind of like a turning point, or like even a breaking point in this loneliness.
Yeah, I had a lot of challenges in terms of friendship and relationship and stuff, like when I left Chennai. And so I think all of that again brought me back to myself, and I felt so lonely, but this time I had nothing to run away to. Or at least initially I had nothing to run away to, because I didn't know anyone, I didn't know the country, and especially like, UW, the early few days, you're kind of given like a dorm separately, and the other students haven't moved in yet. So it's like even more lonely, you know. So I remember just being in that state for a long time. But then what happened slowly was that I started building like a friend group through like housing, through classes. And as I started getting a friend group through college, I stopped practicing for myself because I could now get distracted through my friends again. And again, I cherished every memory with them, but it was like, I knew I was distracting myself because I would avoid being myself or trying to be with myself, actually. I think that's a better way to put it. But the nice thing was, though, being able to be independent throughout college, I really got deeper into other types of philosophy, and also talking to people about philosophy. So I kind of had this inner voice tell me that philosophy was the solution. But I would try these things, but I didn't know which one was right. And I was doing all this logical thinking, of figuring out, okay, maybe this is why this is better than this, and all these kind of things. But then I came across Ben Franklin's biography. So basically, he has his book of 13 virtues, I think. These are virtues he picked from his experiences that he really liked. So he kind of wrote these down, and his goal was to basically tick everything off every day as he built his life. And he felt like if he did this, he would be a better person. So right. And towards the end of his life, he even like dedicates, his achievements back to that book, saying that he never ended up ticking everything every day, but without having the accountability, he couldn't have achieved all the things he did. And so that was a lot less stress in my mind, because I didn't have to figure out which one it was before I chose it.
Here's the list.
So, and I think Marcus Aurelius, like even his meditations book, it felt kind of the same way, where he chose the things he wanted and he was self-reflecting. And so anyway, so that's where I decided, okay, maybe I need something like that. So I just chose this notebook, I wrote it down, I moved it to a drive, and I think that's how college was, I guess. I was either distracting myself or just a little bit willing to see if philosophy could solve this problem.
There's like the sort of baby steps almost of like, okay, I'm distracted, but also like kind of seeking, which I think for many folks happens around that age too, especially if you go to college, because you're like, oftentimes introduced to many different kinds of people, many different ideas. So it's very much like an exploration period. I know there was, yeah, kind of like a breaking point that was related to like work after college and also with your friends. So can you tell me that story?
Oh yeah, this one is an interesting one. So I think when around the time when I was graduating, I think it definitely became clear to me that I was distracting myself with friends or with classes. I was actually doing that a lot as well. It's not that I enjoyed some of the classes, but it was just
Yeah.
trying to distract myself from just sitting at home and stuff. So
Yeah.
as I kept doing this, and it was a cyclic loop, and then the arrogance and coming back. So I started seeing it very clearly because the problem was even when I was with my friends, I was very. There's this point where the arrogance hits of like something's missing, but and you again go back to the environment thinking it's the environment not giving you that one thing.
Yeah.
So something's really missing, but I'm also distracting myself in something. It was this weird thing where I knew the only way is if I go back to myself, because I need to know how to kind of, just enjoy being me, kind of feeling. So, but the thing was, when COVID hit, I got an opportunity to move to California to stay with my cousins for a year. But what I started doing was I just started cutting all my friendships. And it wasn't an intentional thing. It was just, I think I just wanted to figure this out. And I felt like this was a way that I could kind of stay away from what I considered my daily life and my world back in the day. And so I just wanted to detach myself. But I thought if I'm in a completely different city, in a new environment, and that's when I'm starting work, so a new lifestyle, I thought I could figure all this out. But it's the same thing again because I started distracting myself a little bit in work, but mostly with my cousins. But I wasn't willing to do the one thing I wanted to do during this time, which was really search deeper within. And so when I came back, my friends were still there, but I kind of decided, okay, I think I should live alone. I think that's the way I can get to this, to learn how to live by myself, because I was with my cousins, I was with my friends for the longest time, so I've always lived with people. So maybe this was it. Funny enough, it was not. So yeah, I stayed in a studio in Cap Hill. This is when we were coming out of COVID, so I think even the social aspect was people are still opening up to friends out of their friend group. But I remember I remember the first day when I moved into that studio. It was the night. There was a Buddhist friend who helped me move in and everything, so it was amazing. We had a lot of fun. We had dinner, and then once he left, I remember entering my apartment, and through my window you could see the city. And I was just looking at it, and I started tearing up because I got so scared, and I got even more scared that, oh man, is this how it's gonna feel forever? Kind of feeling. And so I was super scared, and I was like, okay, maybe I made a bad choice. I need to move back, kind of thing. But then one of my best friends who lives around here, I called her up, and she was like, hey, like, remember why you chose it? She reminded me of my purpose because she was aware of what I was going through. And so I was like, okay, yeah, she's right. Like, let's face it. Let's see what happens. Worst case, I can always go back to what it was. But I knew I was not happy there. And that's what happened. And I started getting comfortable. But then, with that comes the arrogance or the ignorance of forgetting that there is a deeper thing that I'm trying to do here. So funny enough, what I ended up doing was I distracted myself fully with work. And because what was the point of staying in the apartment alone all the time? So I didn't need that 9 to 5. I can just stay at work all the time. So I started going in super early, like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I wasn't needed to go that early, but it was just, I could take the first bus there, get there, just really just stay there till the end. And mentally, I could completely distract myself and work. In a way, it worked out because I learned a lot.
Yeah.
But I was just, fully there for work. And I would come at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. I would come back home. I would just eat and then go sleep. And this became my routine. And here it was like other voices that kind of start convincing you that what you're doing is right. And I think one of the biggest ones was, oh, your career is the most important thing. So what you're doing, is going to change your life, I was obsessed with Kobe Bryant, so I kept thinking, okay, this is what I love, so that's what I was doing it for. And so because of that, I can sacrifice everything kind of feeling. But really, I was just lying to myself that I didn't want to be with myself or figure out how to go deeper. And so I would rather just go all in at work because I felt comfortable.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like, like sense of purpose and identity becomes so tied, it seems like, to these things. Like, and of course, like, relationships are incredible and it's important to love your work, all of those things, but that's different than like your whole self is like that thing, rather than like, I feel confident in like myself and my career is part of that and my friendships are part of that, but that's not my worth, and my identity is not like external,
Oh,
Yeah.
so well put.
Yeah, yeah.
100%. Yeah, I think I just fused myself with work. And so
Yeah.
I felt like this one entity. And so if a day was good at work, or if somebody said something good, it was like my day was the greatest. And then
Yeah.
if it was a bad day at work, no matter what, or it might have just been a hurdle, when I come back and it was like, oh, this is the worst day ever, kind of feeling.
Oh my gosh.
And just building up. Yeah.
So, yeah, very, very relatable. And I mean, especially with career, I feel like in society, especially in the US, we place this sort of really high value on like status and career. And like, so if you can perform well there, that means you're a good person. That means you'll be happy. That means this, right? But then what happens, when you're not doing well at work, or you lose the job or whatever, then your whole life is kind of shaken, right? You were in this space of just like your whole identity and like life being your work, and it eventually like came to a breaking point. So, which, shocker, I think that it makes sense it would come to a breaking point. So tell me like what led up to that and then what happened after.
Yeah, 100%. Same thing. Same cyclic loop. I was now distracting myself with work. Again, going through the same thing. And then, I had a bunch of friends at work. I really enjoyed hanging out with them, but I knew I was also distracting myself from seeing this inner self. Because I knew when I came home, I just felt lonely again.
Yeah.
And so this kept happening. And around that time, I thought of doing a master's degree as well. Same thing, like you said. I thought it would help knowledge-wise, status-wise. So this is the zone I need to be in. But I think that's when everything hit at once, because when I was doing that and work, and so all of it was around the realm of computer science and software. And so I was just in front of my small 15-inch computer all the time. And I would go to cafes. I would do all these things to stay out of my room. But I never talked to anyone. I never even would look outside except when I was getting that coffee, because I was just zoned in my monitor. At one point, I got so depressed because with college, the classes were getting harder. And so now that was included in how I was feeling every day. So now it's like work I needed to do well, and then classes I need to do well, or else I'm worthless, kind of a mentality. So I think that really hit rock bottom for me, and I needed something. And so I was again now searching what's the next thing. And so, my best friend who's nearby, so she had been traveling. So she was telling me about her amazing experiences. And so, I was like, oh, that is what's missing, The second I start traveling, my life is all going to be, figured out. So that's what I did. So initially I was like, okay, let's not do like long trips. So I would just pick cities nearby. I only had to spend my weekends because of school. So I started doing that. I started picking cities nearby. So there was Bellingham, which is up north. I went west to one of the cities. I went down south to Portland. But what was amazing was the day I decided to go east towards Spokane. One of my Buddhist friends who's been so close to me for the last 10 years, he kind of called me up and he was like, dude, you cannot get a hotel there. You have to stay with my parents. And I was like, oh, he must be intelligent here. So once I drove there, I think his parents changed everything for me because it was just their glow, their life condition, or their glow, this happy feeling. So I remember just entering the house and we were just chatting the like Friday night, and they had so much of energy. They were so joyful, and it was just so beautiful to just see that energy, And I thought, and I knew it was something I wanted because I could just see the difference of just them, me.
And they practice Buddhism too, right?
Yes, yeah. They've been practicing this for maybe 40, 50 years, I think. So they've really like kind of fused it within their lives. I felt so comfortable around them as well because it was so warm to be around that energy. And while we were talking, they inspired me even more because they were in their retirement age. But what they decided was maybe this is a good time to go back to school. And so they went back to school and they found out that they're really good at art and they could be artists.
Wow.
I know, which was amazing. So the entire living room was filled up with like all these beautiful artwork. So I think that's when I kind of just took a step back and I kind of saw that, okay, for me, it felt like at the age of like, 23, 24, that my life was kind of going to be this way for the rest of my life. And it was so depressing. And here they were in the retirement age, starting the next chapter, and so joyful while they're starting it. I was still trying to run away. So even that weekend, I would keep trying to just go try to do something outside. But I knew there was nothing outside for me to feel the energy I felt when I was around there. And so once that weekend kind of wrapped up, it was like a 4-hour journey back to Seattle. That's when I was really processing all of this in my head. I felt so sad, but there was also that hope that I've seen something better and I've been around because I've heard this practice, so I know approximately what it could be. So driving back to Seattle, I didn't know what to do, but I just knew that I needed to call this friend and just tell him my experience and just ask him what can I do because I want that. I think that weekend was when the next, we call it Kosan Rufu Gongyo meeting, but the World Peace Prayer that we have. So he invited me to that meeting, and he actually had a kid who was super young back then. And so for him, it's a long drive to come to the center. That one day, he put all his effort, came there, got me connected to a lot of, the Buddhist community there. And it was just so amazing because once I was there, I hear this experience, and that experience really reminded me of what I was going through. And then there was another experience, and that experience just sealed the deal for me. It was like, because both those experiences were two other problems in my life. And so seeing my most fundamental issue from his parents, and I see these two different ones as well, and it's like, you can do all of it. I was like, okay, there must be something. I think that was my turning point for sure.
Wow. Did it feel like, this is the thing that I've been seeking in all of these other areas? Did it feel that clear at that point?
I knew this was what's going to get me to this thing, but to be honest, I didn't know what it was. I knew it was being joyful, but I didn't know what it meant of who I would be or how I would feel. I didn't know that any of my internal things would change. I just thought me being the strict, static, structured self, I can just be happy, or I can just be joyful. I didn't have to change anything, I just could be joyful. So that's at least the mindset in which I kind of dove in, I would say.
And so then, as you were like, okay, I don't totally know what's gonna change or how this works, but I'm just gonna jump in. What did that look like in terms of your daily life and really applying yourself to Buddhist practice?
I think around then, so the first step of the process was, and I think if I look back, I realize a lot of it has to do with you've already kind of created these walls in society and your mind. So your mental model is already so structured that when you start practicing or whenever you're practicing, you are practicing within these walls, or you start to practice within these walls until you start to break them. And then you see that, oh, actually, there's so much more depth to life. But for me, I was still, so my initial walls were exactly, like work and classes. And I had to do both, but I had to be happy because it was a 4-year program. So I knew I had to do this for 4 years.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, so if I have to do this for 4 years, like I cannot, okay, this is the piece. This is what's going to help me. And I would share with a lot of my Buddhist friends, and it was amazing because every week you're always doing something philosophical. And so you don't even realize how much slowly just starts changing within you. You just feel like, oh, maybe it's just 1 hour I'm spending on philosophical thinking or philosophical action. And so we would study together, we would chant together. Every Monday evening, we would read something and discuss what that means. And we would also make it actionable of, let's try to infuse in our life or see the world in this perspective. And I think those things started really nudging me to first change a bit from the structured version of, oh, only this is life or only this means success. I think that was the other thing. I felt like I had to be this person at work and I had to get these classes done. And that is the only way for success. And this is the only thing that means happiness.
Wow, yeah.
And so that was the first thought I had to break. And I think each of the supporting, activities in the community and my neighborhood community that I used to go to once a month, it was so fun to be around them. And they were always, it was like the family that I suddenly got again,
Yeah.
because my parents are in London.
Yeah.
But it was just, and the community had all types of people, you had grandparents, you had parents, you had kids. So it just felt like, oh, everybody was a part of my family. And I think through that was the initial step, I would say, where I had to first break those walls. And rather than this practice being this additional extra thing in my life, slowly nudging it forward to make it my center or my core. But it took a long, long time for that. But moving that closer was when I got to start reflecting on who I was and start seeing my inner self.
I love how you described like having sort of all of these walls and ways of thinking about everything so segmented or like isolated to these areas, and how through chanting and studying, realizing like, oh, actually, like life is so much deeper than that. I really like that imagery is so incredible. And definitely, I think now is how I feel about my life, but was not that way for a long time. Yeah, I've never like heard about it or thought about it that way, but it's, yeah, so true. So then as you're like kind of breaking these walls down and you're able to finally do maybe that looking at yourself that you had really been longing to do, or maybe you had been avoiding for a long time, I'll say, but like part of you really wanted to like do this seeking and looking at yourself more deeply. How did you do that? Like for somebody who's wondering like, yeah, I want to be able to like look into my life more deeply, but I have no idea where to start. Like, yeah. What did that process look like?
Yeah. I think, okay, so there's this Buddhist member who supported me a lot during this period. It was like 1 year worth of, him really connecting with me. And he was amazing because he's seen like 40-50 years of this practice in his life. And he was not here to kid around, because it felt like that coach who was like, hey, all this time you've been wanting to seek and go to your inner self. You can't use this to again run away, kind of thing, And I don't think he knew that that's what he was doing, but I felt like that's what he was doing. And I think he was studying the lecture is called Opening of the Eyes. It's an SGI lecture series that, Daiseko Ikeda had like taught, which is a book now. And so he was studying that, and he would try to infuse it in his life. And he would read like paragraphs, and he would try to go see the world in this view in his own life, and then he would go read the next piece. But I remember once he felt like the words were really waking up to him, he would come and he would show me, or like he would teach me. And when he was doing this, there is this quote. Can I read that quote?
Yeah,
Would that
please.
Okay. So Ikeda says, viewed in terms of human life, shallow means inertia, idleness, and cowardice. Bravely defeating such inner weakness and seeking deep conviction and profound human greatness is the way of a person of courage. To seek the shallow or the profound, this inner battle takes place in our hearts many times each day. Life too is a struggle. We need to defeat our weaknesses and courageously stand up based on faith with the resolve to continue growing in our lives, to keep moving forward, and to be victorious in the challenges we encounter. When we live with such depth and meaning, we can become true winners in life. That is the purpose of our daily practice of faith and our SGI activities. And he goes on to say, cowardice prevents us from seeing the truth, from seeing things as they are. It can cause even a minor hardship to seem like a huge immovable obstacle and make even the door to a solution instead like a thick wall. Courage is therefore crucial. In terms of Buddhism, courage indicates the soundest and most robust spirit that derives from our inherent Buddha nature, which could be described as our most healthy state. It means the fighting spirit to vanquish our fundamental darkness and instantly reveal our enlightened Dharma nature. And if I could read that one line again, just in the first part, he says, viewed in terms of human life, shallow means inertia, idleness, and cowardice. To seek the shallow or the profound, this inner battle takes place in our hearts many times each day. And I think that's what hit me so much, because the thing I was fearing so much was the shallow and cowardice nature. And rather than seeking the profound, which I did want to do in these different places, and I think that's what I was doing when I saw that in Spokane and was driving back. So it's not like I wasn't doing it. There were so many moments that nudged me to this moment, but there were also so many moments of, again, seeking shallowness through the distraction or running away from this thing. But the way he describes it, of like seeking the shallow or profound, happens many times in a day within our hearts. It kind of just summed everything up to me, because it wasn't a logical thing. It was really like how I felt through my heart. And yeah.
Wow. So for you, if I'm understanding correctly, like you realized that really what was this sort of suffering came down to was like this internal battle between like seeking the shallow and seeking the profound. And you felt like, oh, I'm always seeking the shallow, but I don't know how to not, or like, yeah, wow.
Really well put, yep.
Wow. So then, like, with that, did it give you clarity on, like, oh, this is how I want to then, like, live my life, or how I can challenge that, like, desire to run away or seek the shallow?
Mm-hmm. So I think at that point, I didn't know what this would do to me.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So it wasn't like a big picture, oh, this makes sense, so I'll follow this and I'll do this every day. But it's actually the other way around, where this made complete sense to me. And this friend really guided me to, if I'm connected to it, if I can feel it, then can I use it in my daily life? Yeah. And it was so easy to use, because initially it was just observing. It's like, I do this thing, I usually go do this thing, and then I feel bad after. So the next day when I'm doing the same thing, it's like just taking a step back and being like, oh wait, this is a scene where I'm seeking the shallow again, and so this was happening again and again and again. So it was getting so exciting, because it was like, oh, I see the trend now, and I'm an engineer, so it's like, oh, you see the trends, and it's like, okay, this is what's happening. And it's not easy, or I feel like there is so much of resistance within you to suddenly change all of this and seek the profound, and so everything we do, like, supporting SG activities, sharing this amazing thing, chanting, and And even studying, which is again coming back and reading this again and again, what was happening was that, which I didn't realize, I started seeing this version of myself in glimpses, which I started loving, and my environment also started changing when I would pull out this version of myself. And that's when it was like, oh, there is something too much, like way too deep in this, that I have a long way to go to see what this means. But I'm only now tapping into this next piece of study, I would say.
So, can you give an example of, like, at this time, something that feels like, oh, seeking the shallow versus what seeking the profound means? Like, I'm imagining, like, in the context of friendships, right? Like, you can totally use friendships as a distraction, or you can, like, seek the profound and, like, having a deep relationship with people that, like, creates value. But I don't know if that's, like, how you were experiencing things, or, like, what it looked like.
Yeah, I think that's a really good example. I 100% went through that one, which was, for the longest time, friendships were just people you be around so you don't need to be with yourself.
Yeah.
Or they were, or it was people that you can really connect with on a good frequency, and it's people you have fun with. But what happens when you guys are struggling? What happens when you guys are not in your best life state? Does that mean that, today we don't need to be friends, kind of thing?
Yeah.
But what it started becoming was that even in the conversations, I don't know, like, I think just because of all these kind of life experiences, I felt like just having, like, basic conversation kind of felt very, like, the crust layer of a conversation, and it wasn't really, we weren't really going deep into it. But from a social perspective, it's like, if you speak that way with 5 people, you've had a very social kind of day kind of thing. But it started becoming, and I think it's because, again, like, one very unconscious thing that we kind of do, because when I hang out with my Buddhist friends, we immediately go to talking about philosophy. We immediately go to talking about challenges and problems and what we're facing. So it's like, I'm like stepping into the room being like, it's my turn to be vulnerable today. Everybody open up, So, which is very different, because in other places it's like, okay, let me be this polished self, and if I can trust them, maybe I'll open up. But it's like, I think the next thing you realize is actually, this is not just something you do in a Buddhist environment. You do this outside as well. So when that switches, then you start to see genuine friends, because you start to be genuine yourself. And when I look back, I realize the friends who really stuck by me, the friends who I'm still so close to now, they're all friends who I've been talking so much about philosophy with. Not just as like a third thing where it's like we're just studying it, but like we're trying to see philosophy through our own lives, and we share that vulnerability with each other. I feel like that allows the bond of friendship to be so strong and so pure, because it's like, hey, we're going to be there for each other no matter what. We have all these challenges, but it's about how do we seek the profound during these challenges, and how do you remind ourselves if we kind of in an ignorant way move towards a shallow choice. And so that change, in friends is what started making me enjoy being around friends, rather than my mind being like, oh, this is needed for a social thing, or this is needed,
Yes.
so I can be distracted.
Yeah. Hearing that made me also think about, like, seeking the profound as, like, seeking out things that are challenging for us and kind of like stretch our, like you said, it's easy maybe to be friends with people when we're both like feeling good, but then when one of us is struggling, do we shy away from it, i.e. seek the shallow? Or do we decide, okay, like, oh, this is kind of uncomfortable, or I don't know how to support you, or we're having an argument. Like, do we really have the courage to face that? Which is also, I think, part of the quote you were sharing, like the courage to challenge ourselves and expand our lives and what we think is like, possible for ourselves. So that really helped me kind of like deepen my understanding too. So as you like are studying Buddhism more, did you find like there were connections to like philosophy that you were studying before, and did it feel like, oh, this is, you know, enhancing it, or it's contrary? Like, what was the relationship like?
Hmm. Yeah, I think when the inner changes were happening within me, because up until then, it's like, I think everything else you can. Actually, that's a wrong statement. I don't think everything else, but at least engineering and stuff is a very mental thing, in my opinion. It's like theoretically it doesn't make sense. Logically, does the formula work or this work or that work, and then you kind of equate it to this is the solution. But with philosophy, it's like, yeah, you can theoretically, there's so much to it and you can equate and stuff, but until you see it through your own life and actions, they don't really wake up, or they mean
Yeah.
nothing. It sounds great, but it means nothing. And so when I reached that state where I was actually feeling that, and it was awesome because around that time is when I was like, okay, I was like clearing out my Google Drive, or like redoing things because of the GB limit that they give you.
Yeah.
But that's where I kind of hit this document of like the virtues that I'd written down back in college. And so when I went through these virtues, what was insane was that all these virtues were in this practice, but it was only the entry level of how much deeper you could go to be this best version of yourself. And so when you see that 10 years before you thought this is what it meant to be the best version of yourself, and now 10 years later you see that it's like 100 times that, and also this question of the wall I'm thinking now, is that really the limit, or 10 years later is that also going to get pushed? Now it gets so exciting where it's like I cannot distract myself anymore with other things or trying to just question this, but I can kind of go all in. And I guess that's where the all in of the practice comes in, I guess.
Yeah.
Of like,
oh my gosh.
Let's just keep going deeper.
So your friendships are changing. You're starting to see glimpses of yourself, or this part of yourself that you're really loving. Did you start enjoying time alone? And two, did your relationship with your work change?
Yeah. Awesome. Actually, I would love to share this because I have some
Great.
good results.
Yes, please.
Yes, like I think I definitely started enjoying being with myself. And so how work became was like I still work hard when needed. I still put in the extra hours and everything, and I enjoy it. But the thing is, I got to be detached from the identity that work was who I was. So it was this amazing feeling where it was like, okay, I'm at work, I'm giving my everything, okay, and like, okay, now it's like end of the day, or, you know, we've kind of hashed it out. Maybe it was even a bad day, but it's like, okay, next, okay, I'm going to hang out with my friends and we're going to go all in, you know. And then maybe it was a bad day with friends, but okay, and then we go home, we sleep, next day, again, we go back to work. And started becoming this rhythm where I wasn't, I didn't make it my identity, but I could be the best version of myself and go back in and give everything to it without attaching myself or without allowing this arrogance or ignorance to come up. You know, because I'm like, I'm bringing my best self, I'm going to give everything. And once it's done, this isn't equal to my life. My life is so much more deep. So there is another thing I need to go to because that's also part of my life.
Yeah.
And so that kind of a thing. And so it's, and I really liked, I don't have a quote for this, but somewhere when we were studying together, we studied about like winning in everything. And this aspect of being in the moment at every single second of your life. And also accepting that you want to win in everything, you deserve to win in everything, you know. It's something we don't tell ourselves, or we lie to ourselves and we just choose one because we feel life is limited. But this acceptance that like we, first of all, we deserve to win in everything, and second is I guess that's a person's choice, but we want to win in everything. So and what does that take?
What does it look like to be winning? Like from a Buddhist perspective, what does it mean to be like successful or winning in all areas of your life?
Yeah, I would say it's like you have all these different interactions with the world. We have our career, we have our friendships, we have family, we have maybe relationships, we have maybe many more ways in which we interact with society. So now the question becomes, how do we bring out the best version of ourselves? And with that kind of energy, how do we transform everything around us? So it's like you bring your best version of yourself and you go do this thing. Maybe it's work 9 to 5. And then maybe the next thing is maybe 5 to 7, it's dinner with friends. And maybe 7 to 9, it's like, yeah, studying with your Buddhist friends. And maybe 9 to 10, it's hanging out with your roommates. But it's like really bringing your best version of yourself. So the days may be good, the days may be bad. We can't really change that. We all are going to have these different waves of suffering. But it's like, and I think the word is joy. It's like every moment being the most joyful and not just just telling your head that, oh, I need to be joyful now. Okay. Joyful mode now kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's this feeling and joyfulness, a part of it also comes from going all in. It doesn't come from retracting yourself or being like, okay, if this is a situation that doesn't make sense to me, maybe I'm going to step back, but I'm going to go all in. But my life consists of so many different aspects of society that I need to switch, which is context switching is such a hard thing to do in life, I feel. And then again going all in and again going all in. And so to me, if I could really summarize whether I've done it well, at least today in my life, the feeling is when I go into my bed, I'm first exhausted, and two, I feel so happy. And those are the days I know, like, I've really won today, even if the results are not showing, and I just have to wake up tomorrow and do it again.
Oh my gosh, that was incredible. I'm like, I don't have a question because I was like so like deep into that, but I think something that I'm hearing too is like through really going all in your Buddhist practice and then having that sort of attitude or spirit in every area, it sounds like you also have deepened or found a sense of purpose in your life and in everything you do. And I'm wondering if you could speak to that a little bit. I'm curious.
Yeah, I think so. I think the way I see it now is that we do all these different things like work, career. Like, first of all, I kind of got to dissociate myself from just considering myself as an engineer, which was amazing through this process. So I could be anything. Like tomorrow I can decide to be a musician. And it was, so that was amazing. But it's like, whatever I end up choosing to do and give my everything, and the different things I have to keep changing between. And so the first piece is, yes, bring our best version, but how can we encourage every single person along the way? And I like, there's this movie I saw, I don't remember the exact movie, but it's like this person wakes up, walks to their favorite coffee shop, they say hi to a couple of people along the way, they grab a coffee, and then, they're walking to work. But it's like, you see, oh man, this guy looks so joyful, this guy looks so happy, there's something there. But imagine if we could live that every single day of our life, through every person we meet. I feel like there is nothing more beautiful, at least today in my mind, there's nothing more beautiful to me than that kind of a purpose of like, yes, I can just get my work done and leave, but is there someone who I could encourage? Maybe they're struggling with something, or maybe they want to learn something that they've been seeking, they've been wanting to do, and can I put in that extra effort to help them out as well, and then go to the next place. And then it's nice because your friends, when they feel that, they also do that for you. So it's like a two-way thing. It's never a one-way thing. And so it's like you go to the next place and then you do the same thing and then the next place. And at least today, I think that's what I feel like my purpose is. How many people can we really help? And I've seen this version of my life where I felt like I was like so deep in the pit that I felt like I could never get out of it. So I don't know how many people I'm interacting with now who may be in that state. And even if they're not, it doesn't hurt to, yeah, just share that energy just like my friend's parents did when I was in Spokane.
I think for so many people, especially those that practice Buddhism, there's, this sort of realization that, like, wow, caring about and supporting other people actually, like, makes my life feel so much bigger and, like, deeper, more purposeful. I always find, like, I can get so wrapped up in my own problems or whatever. And the moment that I decide, let me also, like, ask how this person is doing, that my friend, whatever, that sort of dark cloud goes away. You know, my life really opens up, and I feel like greater sense of, like, wow, my life really has meaning and purpose, because it's not just about me. It's like also supporting others. So yeah, I love that. So anyway, thank you so much for sharing all of that. So I think I can go now to my final question. I always ask for advice. So imagine, you know, somebody's listening, or you've met somebody who's really struggling to feel this strong sense of self and identity, and maybe is really like seeking all of these things, but nothing is really giving them the like fulfillment or satisfaction. What would you tell them?
You know, on a high level, I would definitely tell them, please attend your first, Buddhist community meeting.
Yeah.
I truly believe, or even actually listen to this podcast, because the experiences, especially initially, it was the experiences that changed everything. Because as humans, we immediately connect with the experience. That's why I think biographies are so inspiring and so exciting, because you can directly connect to the heart of this other person, see their struggles, and when you're going through the same struggles as well, I mean, nobody is like, I want this struggle for the rest of my life, and so when you see this person and you hear the same struggle, and you're like, oh, they could overcome it, and they're human, I'm human, I can do it too. I think already something inside you starts to change, because I think what's happening is you get that hope, and once the hope lights up, it starts convincing every cell in your body, your brain, your heart, everything, that okay, let's go towards it, because we're not stuck in these walls or these frames anymore. So I would say that's a great starting point, and that'll at least allow you to want to get to that state of, okay, I want this change, okay, what is it, kind of thing. The thing that we practice so much here and we talk about so much, the aspect of faith, practice, and study. But I feel like once you get connected to the community and you come with this seeking purpose of this is what you want to solve, I feel like everything just points you towards the resources you need and the support you need to help you change that. But usually it's always in ourselves. That's, if I go back, for the longest time, I used to find what in my environment is causing me to be this way. And it's harder to blame something else when you've switched across many cities and many countries and you're still facing the same thing, So it's like, am I the problem, So I think just the aspect of, actually, it's within us as well to get the opportunity to change. So first is just finding and getting that hope, because that's the starting point. And then the second is, okay, with that, please, get connected, attend your neighborhood, Buddhist meeting, and just get an experience of how you could move towards facing the inner self and transforming that.